I'm Dave Kluge with Football Guys, and I am here to discuss 3 players that you need to be trading for right now in your fantasy football league. If you have not already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/footballguys. We're bringing you these short videos almost every single day in season, and we are bringing you a slew of full-length shows as well. If you want an early preview on our podcast, subscribe at youtube.com/footballguys, where you'll be able to see all of our podcasts as they stream live before hitting all podcast platforms. So let's go ahead and dive in, talking about 3 players that you should be trading for right now. The first guy I want to talk about is Antonio Gibson. Now, obviously there are some concerns that Brian Robinson is going to return and that when he does, he could render Antonio Gibson completely useless, but I am not buying into that. Antonio Gibson has finished as a top 15 running back in PPR formats both of his seasons that he has been in the league and just had a phenomenal week 1. Now, anybody that has watched Antonio Gibson since his college days knows that he is a wide receiver and can excel in the passing game. For whatever reason, though, he has never been used as a pass catcher at the NFL level. Until week 1, that is. The 8 targets that Antonio Gibson pulled against the Jaguars were a career high for him, and it wasn't just volume, but it was efficient volume. He averaged 10.3 yards per reception, which is a very, very good number. And PFF agreed as well. Among all running backs, Antonio Gibson graded as the best pass catcher in week 1. And I don't think this was fluky either. Last year on passing downs, J.D. McKissic easily outpaced Antonio Gibson in snaps. But this week, he had 30 pass catching snaps opposed to J.D. McKissic's 22. So we could finally be seeing that changing of a guard where Antonio Gibson gets that huge role where he's getting the on the ground touches, the goal line work, and the pass catching work. If those stars align, Antonio Gibson could smash his ADP. It's kind of hilarious looking back at the offseason when he'd push this guy all the way into RB3 territory. We probably should have been valuing him as the high-end RB2 he has been for back-to-back seasons. Let's say you were in one of those drafts where you begrudgingly took Antonio Gibson just because he fell to a good value. The good news is this opens up a sell window for you. You can get him off your team right now. I think you should go out and get Antonio Gibson. This guy's a great talent, and it seems like he's going to be seeing a lot of volume on this offense. The next guy I want to talk about is James Robinson. And after the awful showing that we saw from Cam Akers on Thursday night, many people had written James Robinson off for dead. Well, guess what? He bounced back from that Achilles injury and he looked pretty good doing it. I expected James Robinson to kind of be an afterthought in this offense, and I thought the offense was going to run through Travis Etienne. Well, James Robinson saw twice as many touches. He punched in 2 touchdowns, and he finished as the RB11 in PPR scoring. Now, I'm not freaking out about Travis Etienne just yet. Travis Etienne had an overthrow when he had beat his defender and was wide open for a touchdown. He also had a dropped pass that would have been an easy walk-in touchdown. We could very easily be talking about Travis Etienne coming off a 2-touchdown game as one of our favorite buy high candidates. But I'm going to get a little bit more excited about James Robinson here, who has shown that he is 100% healthy coming off that Achilles tear and also has locked in some of the goal line work. Going back to every single year that Doug Peterson has been a head coach in the NFL, he has implemented a backfield by committee approach. It looks like that is what we should expect this year in Jacksonville, is Travis Etienne and James Robinson could be a very solid 1-2 punch out of the backfield. It is entirely too early to freak out about Travis Etienne, but you'd be crazy not to bump James Robinson up in your rest of season rankings. The last guy I want to talk about is Michael Thomas. He is back. Now, I'm not going to say he's back in the hyperbolic sense of the word. I don't think that Michael Thomas is going to be going for 1,700 yards this season, but he looked pretty good as the team's wide receiver 1. Looking just at the box score, it could be a little bit deceiving. Jarvis Landry had more targets, more yards, more receptions, but when the game mattered most, when Jameis Winston was fueling this come-from-behind victory, who did he look to? Michael Thomas. Twice, as a matter of fact, in the end zone. That's right, in Michael Thomas's first game back in years, he finished the game with 2 touchdowns, and they came at very crucial moments late in the game. That is exactly how you win the trust of your quarterback. Sunday afternoon was just the 8th start that Jameis Winston has had for the Saints in the last 3 years, and the first time he has ever played with Mike Thomas. The fact that they were able to establish any sort of rapport is a pretty promising sign, but the 2 touchdowns really get me excited. And at the end of the game, during that post-game press conference, you didn't see Jarvis Landry there, you didn't see Chris Olave there, it was Jameis Winston shoulder to shoulder with his wide receiver 1, Michael Thomas. Now, the only concerns about Thomas this offseason were how he would look coming off of that ankle injury that sidelined him for years. Well, he didn't look like his old self 100%. He looked good enough to draw targets, and that's what matters. Going forward, Michael Thomas is the wide receiver 1 for the Saints, and you should go out and try to get him wherever you can. Every week, I write a featured article for Football Guys, 3 up and 3 down. The 3 guys I talked about today were the guys that I have trending up that I think you should go out and get. But I also have 3 guys that I'm not as excited about that I'm starting to panic just a bit about. So if you look in the YouTube description below, you can find a link to that article if you are looking for more information. As always, find me on Twitter at Dave Kluge. Shoot me a DM if you got any questions. Drop me a follow to see what I'm up to content-wise. And if you have not already, subscribe to the YouTube page at youtube.com/footballguys. Thank you so much for checking this out, and I'll see you next week.